G'day everyone, and welcome back to day 3 of the 2020 Gold Coast Business Week. I hope you had a great conference so far. Thank you for joining this morning's session and welcome to your e-commerce adventure. I'm Raj de Souza and I'm the founder and CEO of Export Accelerator. We are a local Gold Coast business and export marketing consulting practice who have been helping Australian businesses and brands do better online for the past 3 years. You may have just started or have been riding the e-commerce wave for several years, but given the medium of this year's Gold Coast Business Week, I wanted to attempt something different to bring in an element of interactivity, mitigate that dreaded Zoom fatigue, but also tailor today's session to your current journey by allowing you to choose topics most relevant to your business. To do this, I've broken the session down in 3 tracks, with each track offering you 2 options. When introducing the track, you will see 2 boxes at the bottom of my screen with a topic. Feel free to choose the topic most relevant to your e-commerce journey. These boxes will only show up towards the end of my session. Now that being said, all tracks will be available on demand after my session, and I will be taking on live questions towards the end of today's session. So please keep your questions flowing in and I will address them at the end. I'm also available at the virtual exhibition hall if we run out of time and you have specific questions you want to run by me. So, 2020. What a year it has been for e-commerce. I can assure you this isn't a lead up to using words like the new normal or unprecedented or pivot. But the data you're about to see should summarize how global changes have impacted Australian online consumer demand. The trend I've seen is that e-commerce has become more important than ever before. And because of that, companies that have leveraged e-commerce by creating meaningful online experiences have managed to deepen their customer relationships over the last couple of months. To substantiate my point, what I did was I referenced a few of the top 10 e-commerce sites in Australia to gauge pure web traffic trends since January 2020, and to reinforce why it has become increasingly important to revisit the experience of your online store. So as you can see, if you look at the 4 graphs on your screen, each company has clearly enjoyed an upward trajectory of growth. In fact, look at Amazon as a change. They've had some impressive growth since January 2020. And I think that growth has been pretty much across the board. I mean, if you look at your graph, the average growth has been close to 45 to 50% since January 2020. And based on these traffic trends, and assuming the conversion rates haven't really changed for any of these sites over the last couple of months, I think it's safe to say that their online sales would have also seen tremendous growth. And I thought I would validate this further by looking at the total growth of sales in Australia. So what I did was I jumped in and I looked at the total sales in Australia until August, and I compared that against the total e-commerce sales around the same period. And I wasn't surprised by the results because, as you can see on your screen, retail, as in overall retail in Australia, has had a modest growth, close to 5%. But what has really gone off, and it seems like it's been on steroids for the last couple of months, has been e-commerce sales, which has moved from where it was to 20 billion now and enjoyed over a 50% growth. So I believe it's fair to assume that each of you would have or are still seeing similar growth spikes in your website. And suddenly I've been, hearing everyone talk about traffic being one of the biggest online metric to review. Although personally for me, I do consider web traffic to be a vanity metric, only because if you can't really monetize that traffic that you've got in, whether it's 50% or 80% higher than what it was before, it's really a nice to have metric other than basic awareness that you've seen of your website. So with that in mind, I would like to introduce you to your first choice as part of your e-commerce journey. Based on where you are at your current e-commerce journey, What is most relevant to you? Is it a best-in-class website layout that you could adopt yourself? Or is it B, perhaps your website's great, but your real concern is around one of the biggest drivers of a great user experience, site speed? So, where would you like to go next?